welcome to this episode of the Strong Kind Podcast. This episode is with Sam McGowan. Sam is a personal trainer and a coach out of the UK. I connected with Sam just via basically her liking a post of mine and me going and looking at her content and being like, this person is somebody that I want to have a good conversation with, and that's how it started. Sam is a lifelong athlete who helps people get stronger, be confident, and ultimately like not get too obsessive, which is one of the big reasons that I wanted to talk to her. We had a great conversation around the gym, training, being an athlete, the mental side of a lot of this stuff, and just helping people. So I really enjoyed the conversation. I hope you will too. Follow Sam at samsays_PT on Instagram. I'll link that in the show notes. Give her a follow. And thanks so much for being here. If you're injured, if you're overdoing things, if you feel stuck and you need help with training or rehab or just performing at your best, please check me out at dr.dave.strengthandkindness on Instagram. I'd love to help you out with anything rehab or training oriented. Please shoot me a question. I'm happy to answer any questions or book a consult call and let's talk about your training and your goals. Thanks so much. Peace. All right, so I'm with Sam McGowan, and I just told her that
It's ruined my day.
I ruined her day. I said that Diet Cokes are called fridge cigs. She hates that, which I
hate it.
I'm sorry, Sam.
For context, I have a Diet Coke and I love a Diet Coke, especially when it's sunny and
yeah.
But that's as someone who's like really actually cannot handle being around smoke and just doesn't like the idea of that.
I'm super smoke averse.
That's
I think
really
I do not like to be around smoke like in really anywhere. So I'm with you, but like when I heard I thought it was clever and funny because they are just like they're delicious.
Yeah, no, it's
you kind of get a hankering for one, like a Diet Coke that is. I do about one a day too. I think like I try to like I know we don't have to get into the artificial sweeteners debate or anything like that. I'm on board with, hey, if it helps you and it's delicious and
I just like them.
Just go, yeah, right. So just manage it. Really, what being a human being is in this day and age is just manage your shit, right? Like just whatever your problems are, just manage them, right? But
there's definitely worse problems to have than enjoying a Diet Coke.
So me and Sam we started to get into like the banter before, and then I'm like, we gotta get started. So Sam is in the UK, and I even just her tagline on Instagram was, "Let's make you strong enough to do whatever the f you want." Fuck you want. We can be explicit here, Sam.
Okay, great.
Without being obsessed 24/7, and be obsessed, the like pendulum swinging for a lot of people in like fitness and health is a really good topic because I think like a lot of us, especially people who like maybe you do have a challenge getting started or maybe you do have constraints, but then it does typically go to like this obsessed end of the spectrum, and while that's not necessarily unproductive, I think and I think you allude to this, it becomes unproductive or it becomes a problem for people. So talk more about like just why you don't want people to become obsessed 24/7 or how you want to help people manage that.
Yeah, I think for me, I've always been sporty. Since I was a kid, I've always done everything I could possibly do, whether netball, running, BMX. I was a gymnast for 20 years. That was my big thing, and I competed, and that was my life. Like it really was everything, and I did it because I enjoyed it. And so further down the line, I stopped gymnastics. I stopped because I snapped my Achilles, by the way.
Ooh, that's like my demon. My worst fear is this, like, Achilles. So
well, brutal. The good news is I got back into gymnastics, but then I stopped because I was compensating a lot, and I could feel the other one getting pulled, and so I was like, I'm out. I don't want to do that again. So I stopped gymnastics, but I didn't really know what I was doing anymore. Like when you kind of lose your identity when you do a sport like that and you've been heavily involved. So long story short, I got a marketing job. I was in marketing before as a PT, and then I got a marketing job for a personal training brand. So, and they were all about transformations, before and afters. But they did it through strength training, and I very quickly fell in love with that. But for me, as much as I fell in love with it, I just never wanted it to be my life, because I'd been a gymnast. You train for 4 hours at a time, sometimes 6 hours. It was my whole life, and I have a life outside of training. It's a very big part of my life, and I enjoy it. I love the benefits of it, and I do jiu-jitsu, and I've done all kinds of crazy shit, but I just don't want it to be my whole life. And what I like about my message, I guess, is that you can actually be pretty fucking strong, capable. You can even be pretty good. Like, I've competed, I've done ultras, I say ultras, I did one. That was enough. I've done high rocks, I've done pretty much everything you can think of, triathlons, like that kind of stuff. I've done it, but I've never wanted it to be, I want downtime. Like, I have this like alter ego. My nickname is the Strong Potato. Like, I have a tattoo as well, because I'm a loser like that. Can you see?
Yeah. It's like a potato lifting weights for anybody who doesn't watch the video.
Yeah, for context.
It's a good one. The back of her right arm.
Yeah, because I'm cool like that. It's because I really enjoy doing nothing, and I just think people I think it's important to show that side, especially with social media. You see a lot of extremes, and I just want to show that you actually can be pretty capable, strong, without having to live in the gym,
Yeah, well, it's also, I was talking to somebody, High Rocks, fitness is trendy. Everything in life is really trendy, right? Mm-hmm. Stuff comes up, people get into it. It's not really good or bad, in a lot of ways, like, CrossFit, super, super good for a lot of things. Like, there would not be barbells in commercial gyms nearly as much as there are without the rise of CrossFit, right? There wouldn't even be, I really don't think there would be as much exposure to, people just lifting weights for their fitness if it were not for just CrossFit, starting up 20 plus years ago and doing high intensity functional movements at, with variance or whatever. But then it becomes people. I really think the human condition is like, you're 100% right. We evolved, and again, I don't know, I'm not drawing this from any scientific background, but we evolved in boredom, and I think we need boredom, and we've basically almost quote unquote solved boredom for people by you can constantly be doing something, and I've just even had to I have had to totally really it's hard, but I've had to manage my relationship with social media, manage my relationship with just doing stuff and being bored. But High Rocks is super cool. It's also a really good opportunity to burn yourself the F out on running a lot and doing a lot of stuff that CrossFit always kind of had this skill component to some of these things that was almost like a limiter. If you miss 7 snatches in a row, it's just go home. But everything in CrossFit, it's you could do 30 more wall balls. You could do more lunges. You could do more burpee broad jumps. You could run another 1,000 meters. It's almost like this, we were joking about it, but it's it could become a pressure cooker for the obsessed person. And then you really have to step back and be am I actually getting this is my big fitness thing. It's are you actually getting the outcome you want, or are you just doing a bunch of shit because you can't chill out?
Yeah. Well, there's pros and cons to pretty much anything you do. You can rinse the crap out of anything, can't you? And I typically coach women who need help with that. The women I coach.
I had a hankering. I had a based on your content. I'm all right, I think I know what Sam's. You're doing a good job of talking to your person and probably yourself, right?
Yeah. It's me, but it's funny. I always, when you get told when it comes to marketing, you want to talk about the person that you were and that kind of stuff. I think I've been very lucky. I've never hated my body. I've never had a bad relationship with training or food or even myself. Like, I've got challenges and hang-ups, don't get me wrong, but I've been very lucky on that front. And I know after coaching women for the last nearly 10 years that most women don't experience that. And so I feel I've gotten really good at helping women see that. Because the women I coach, right, sorry, I'm going around in circles here,
You're good.
They do a lot, as in they do what a lot of, let's say, influencers, fitness influencers are doing on top of a normal job and a life. And like, I've got a client, she won't mind me saying this, she's a police officer. She also lifts weights 2 or 3 times a week. She also runs twice a week, and she also does jiu-jitsu. Like, imagine having that active of a job and then doing all those things. And so my job is to kind of be like, look, I fucking love the fact that as a woman especially, like, you're doing all these things and you're strong, you're capable, you're doing stuff that, women once upon a time weren't supposed to be doing. But you need to, like, rein it in a bit because you're going to be fucked. Yeah. And for me, it's like I have boundaries with myself. I'm pretty competitive. I'm very... I want to be good at stuff, but I also don't want to be beating myself up about it. I don't want to feel shit. At the end of the day, my thing is like, all of this stuff is great, but if you don't feel good, that's not a good sign. Like, that's, we should care about those things. So yeah, I'm kind of like trying to find the balance for people. But High Rocks is, going back to High Rocks, one thing I will say on the women front is that I did see how great it was for getting women to shift to a performance attitude, like, similar to High Rocks, but I feel like, similar to CrossFit, but High Rocks I feel is just a bit more accessible. CrossFit can be, but anyway, from the outside looking in, if you don't know much, I feel that High Rocks is a little bit easier to transition to, because if you run and if you've done a bit of weights, then, you'll be all right.
Yeah. So
it's been really good for that. But yeah, people just can take things to the extreme, and that's what you've got to be mindful of.
You, okay, how old are you? Are you 35? One of your posts says I'm 35. Okay, sweet.
35,
all right. Yeah. How does age come into your thinking about stuff, if at all? And then, like, what are you telling yourself? Because you're absolutely right. Like, there is a delicate balance, and it's really easy to, like, get locked in on, like, what you see somebody putting out on social media and being like, A, comparative, and B, like, thinking that, like, A, you should even be doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right? But like, and then like how we are going to maintain or build or continue to, like, feel as we get older. Like, what are your thoughts on that? How do you talk to people about that?
For me personally, on the aging journey, it's been quite fun in a way that, imagine you're a gymnast. Like, gymnasts, you're old when you're in your 20s. Physically, you're like old. So growing up through that, you think, well, I'm like past it now. This is me. And with strength training, I very much went through that journey of, getting really into heavy lifting, and that's all I did. I didn't do cardio. I was a little bit like a cardio hater, and this was a long time ago when I didn't know enough. Mostly because cardio was more introduced as like something for fat loss, right? Whereas now I see it as obviously a health benefit, but also just really good to be fit as well as strong. So I went through that journey. I went through the journey of like hitting a wall with heavy lifting all the time, bad back, just bad everything. And that's where I felt like my body was starting to get old. when in reality my training was just like I basically hit a wall with my back in particular and could not move for like 6 to 9 months. Like I couldn't train for about 6 months, which is crazy. When I look back now, like I wasn't injured, there was nothing wrong with it. I just really didn't train. Like this is what I talk about all the time. I was lifting heavy all the time. That was the goal. That was just the goal every session, as heavy as possible. I didn't move my spine, really. I thought I was really strong, I could deadlift, I could squat. But I avoided back extensions because it hurt my back. Like, how crazy is that? It's supposed to, like, again, I just didn't know. And so I remember when my back got really bad, someone told me, and I was really fucked off when they told me. They were like, you learn something from an injury. And I was just like, oh, fuck off. I was in so much pain. I was like, I don't want to hear that right now. But it really did teach me a lot about how to train, how to, manage myself a bit better, how to train my spine, including not even mobility, because there's this weird misconception about what mobility actually is, but if you train your spine in all the directions it's supposed to go, that'll solve a lot of people's problems. And I know I've seen a couple of posts, I think.
I've seen you liking some of my content. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, for me that was like the biggest shift, and I started to, again, I was also very much in the trap of like tempo. Tempo is everything. Move slowly if you can't control the weight, and we know that there's an element of that is important. But I learned a lot of like things that I was maybe not doing quite right, and I started to move a bit quicker, incorporate explosive training more, bend a bit more, move in different directions that I just wasn't doing. And honestly, I say this a lot, but I'm 35 now, and I feel better, stronger in my body now than I did in my like early 30s, late 20s, when I was just like lifting heavy all the time. And even the fact that like I started jiu-jitsu nearly 2 years ago now, and that's like not a sport, it's not as aggressive as like people make out, but you've got to be able to be in like folded like a pretzel, and it's very dynamic at times, and you've got to be mobile, but you've got to be strong. And I'm making that shift with training for me meant that I can just go and show up to something like that and be confident in what my body can do. Yeah. So that for me, like personally, has been my like aging and training stuff. From a values point of view, a lot of the women I coach are late 30s, mid 30s, 40s, 50s. I got clients in their 60s. I love that social media is showing that actually there's like old people doing crazy stuff. Yeah. So like I just think obviously we have to you notice things here and there that you probably wouldn't notice when you were younger, and just be mindful of those things. But otherwise, I think we're pretty capable, providing training is done the right way.
I think I just like, I go back to, I actually wrote in my journal like yesterday, like, I was just like, I'm just like, I'm 38, I turned 38 a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, I'm afraid. So I've been in like my own like little, I've had a few existential and like depressive episodes, like, and I had one in 2020, which like 2020, the end of 2020 into 2021, it makes a ton of sense. Like lockdown, switch jobs, just a lot of things like got into my very overly analytical and relatively, my anxious mind. Like I actually did a weightlifting competition in early or late January, and I felt really good. And I was probably feeling like, and then into February, and then like basically I just a lot of moving parts in life kind of hit. I have a little boy. We have another little kid on the way. We're doing like a month basically. I also like run my own business, and I am obsessive.
Stressful.
And I like but I wrote in my journal. It's like I've felt very like in my body. I like all the like the little twinges and stuff. Like I um when I train I feel pretty good. I also can't really train like you mentioned like as hard as I'd like to like all the time, right? Which
Mm-hmm.
is like a weird, and I don't even think like I think that's such a misnomer that like athletes who are at the highest level are actually like physically training like super hard all the time. I think it's like very
Gotcha.
tactical, right? And it should be very tactical, like because you're kind of trying to just manage. You're trying to make like little, inch your way forward.
Mm-hmm.
Where people, you have a couple posts about this. It's like you're disappointed because you haven't hit a personal best in XYZ period of time. Okay, like you know but like I literally wrote yesterday, I'm like, I'm worried that I fear that I'm at like my physical peak. I fear that I'm gonna
Mm.
be moany and groany for the rest of my life. My physical therapy, my physio brain knows that like a lot of it is a lot of cognitive load, like a lot of like mental stress,
Mm-hmm.
um, a lot of pushing my body without taking like appropriate breaks or changing things up appropriately, probably. Um, and then just kind of like impatience and obsessiveness,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I
I
don't know
have
if that was,
clients like you.
yeah. I have clients like me. I like
Yeah.
I'm better at helping a lot of people outside of me objectively. Like
Yeah, we're all.
it's the classic Icarus story. You
Uh.
know, how close do you think you can fly to the sun right now? Like, how low do you think your calories can be while and still kind of operate? How much do you think you can up your running, per week and still feel okay, right? It's just
Mm.
Icarus. And then eventually your wings get freaking ruined, right?
Yeah, yeah. I do talk about this a lot because I think it comes from, if you think about strength training when you first get into it, the reason why we fall in love with strength training is because of seeing those numbers go up and the weight going up. It's the best feeling ever. Lifting heavy, like I was talking on my story yesterday about how I don't train because I enjoy it anymore, which sounds really negative, but I do it because I don't. I wouldn't enjoy my body if I didn't, for one, and I'm gonna do it for the rest of my life because yeah, I know it allows me to have this strong, capable body that can do stuff. Um, but when we fall in love with strength training because the numbers go up and that's the feeling we buzzed off, there's this common misconception that after you are no longer beginner, that training gets harder and harder. Like as you said, like athletes, but even just people, general population who are no longer beginners in the weights room, they think that training will just get harder. And actually, the more advanced you get, the more you get smarter about it because you understand load management better, you understand recovery, you understand that, well, you can't just like keep adding more weight because otherwise we'd all be superhuman and lifting trains or whatever. But so there's that misconception, and actually when you get further down the line with strength training or training in general, it's not that exciting. It's actually pretty suboptimal, and yeah, like you're purposely trying to train hard enough that you see progress, but not so much that you're fucked for the next few days. Like I've been poorly for like a couple of weeks. It was just a bad run, a back to back, and Monday I went and trained, and I do what I always tell my clients, like if you've had a couple of weeks off, like ease yourself in, don't go crazy. But I was just feeling good, so I was just like, oh well, 20 kilo Bulgarian split squats, like dumbbells either side. Like that felt good. It felt hard, and I wanted to film it so I could show what an actual hard set of Bulgarians looks like, because people always stop too soon.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and the next day and today still, so this was Monday, I'm so sore from those Bulgarians. Like
Yeah.
I trained twice yesterday. I lifted, felt pretty good actually. And then I actually went to jiu-jitsu in the evening, which I don't normally do. Today I am very sore. Like my calf hurts, don't really know why. I'm still sore from Monday. And these are the things that you just start to like notice a bit more, I guess, when you have been training for a while. But because of that, I'm going to rest today. Like I would normally train in the evening, but I've done a bit more than I normally do, and I am sore. So like, I'm not saying you shouldn't train if you're sore, but if I don't rest today, I won't have a rest day. So it's like, that's the decision I'm going to make, and sometimes you have to not do something.
Well, what you allude to is like, like the longer you do this, the more your decision making. I mean, your decision training is really just like decision making. Like with beginners, like who don't know, like with, I know this is like a generalization. A lot of men who are like beginners are like overly audacious about putting weight on the bar, and a lot of women who are beginners are way too like timid about like weight selection. But even then, like as a coach, as a physio, as somebody who's trained people in person, as somebody who also coaches people online, you know, if you really boil down like what training is, it's just like trying to make good decisions like for a long time, right?
Yeah.
And like that's kind of becomes the game. Like you not train today, cool. Like if you were to go train and you were just like, I'm just gonna take it easy, cool. Like at some point, you know, it's like most people, I think we probably coach similar people who like a lot of people who are going to work with a coach have like the more is better default type of thing, right?
Yeah.
There are some people who need to be pushed, but I would say
Yeah.
that like my marketing has gotten more oriented towards people who like they're overdoers and they need help almost being pulled back a little bit.
Yeah.
But like, you know, it really, you're just trying to like I wrote this down because it was a really good video somebody put, and it kind of was like it was a guy talking about developing speed, and he's like, you know, you have to improve technique, you have to, I just have it on a little post-it, you have to improve force production, and then you have to manage the number of exposures people get. And I'm like, that's pretty much like every training in a nutshell. Like, and by technique, it's just like, technique has to be like good enough, or the drills or the exercises you are choosing have to be doable for the person. Like, because you have a few good posts on like, it's not your technique, you're just not strong enough, and like right, like that's the like there's some of these things that social media almost hammers that then like the lay person gets into their brain, and they almost become so focused on, I have to improve my technique so that like I don't get hurt, or so that the weight can go up. And it's like, actually your weight's going to go up as a product of you building the architecture and the neuromuscular ability to drive the weight up because you got stronger. But then it's like, how many exposures do I need to actually improve on what I'm doing? And the number of exposures changes based on your life and based on the things you're doing, right? Like I'm trying to convince a lot of the people I work with that like, hey, really like 3 strength days in this season is like probably what you need. But a lot of people, I used to kind of deviate to 4 or 5. And it doesn't mean this is situational, but I'm like, yeah, for the progress you want right now, or just how you feeling and what you're responding to, like three sessions is probably really good. And then actually shift a little bit of like your training time to doing a little bit more cardio, or like movement that feels good. Like go for a bike ride outside, go for a long walk, do some yoga.
Yeah, or eat.
Go ahead. Yeah, or just plan out your meals and prep your
some food.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, a couple of things in there that are really good to talk on, but the training frequency for me, you know, I've attempted it maybe every now and then. I just don't enjoy being in the gym longer than I need to be. So I've actually always trained 3 times a week. Even when I like got really into it, I've never enjoyed a 4, 5, 6 day split. Like it just, I do really like weight training. I still love the way it feels to this day, and I think it's because I've never gone too crazy with it. Like, don't get me wrong, I tried to lift weights I should not have been lifting, and I've been through that phase. But yeah, like again, like going back to most people generally, but a lot of the people I train, they're not just lifting weights, they are doing something else. So in total, they're training like 5, 6, sometimes 7 times a week, if not more. And sometimes they need to rein that in to make room for stuff. But a lot of the time, I am also trying to get people to make time to recover. I joke about the meal prep, but people don't even think about what they're eating. Whereas the way I'm planning how often I can train is not based on like what I have time for. It's based on how can I recover from that. And I noticed it with jiu-jitsu. I go back to like having boundaries. I don't want to feel shit. Like I don't want training to make me feel bad. So if I'm training so hard and not making time for food and sleep or whatever, that like it's no longer feeling good, not just physically, but that stuff affects you mentally. And you know,
yeah, I think the mental effects are way. I mean, well, and it's like we're not a mind and a body, right? We are a mind.
We're not robots,
right? Like we are, you know. It is interesting because like you saying like I never really had like I could always like do 3 days and like I was cool with that. Like I freaking respect that like so much because my brain has always been like, well, if 3 days is good, let's try to get 4, and then like if 4 days is good, let's try to get 5, right?
Yeah.
And you know, to some extent, it is like the dosage that you're going. Like if you're trying to spend 4 or 5 hour-and-a-half sessions, like, and you can't recover from it, then it's not actually giving you the result you want, right? And there was like I think it's like a monk proverb, or it's like a guy learns to meditate and he can meditate for like 8 hours a day, and like another person comes along and it's like, oh, I wish I could do that. And it's like, do you want the outcome, which his outcome is like he's enlightened and he's peaceful, or are you willing to go through like the journey to like become like him? And most people want some form of the outcome, but they're like they don't necessarily want to go through the journey. And I think a lot of times the journey to the people that like are really good athletes is like they did really basic stuff and they managed their recovery until they literally needed to train more because they were like capped at, this is where you're at. If you want to go to the next level, you literally have to add more stress, and you also probably have to sacrifice more a little bit in your like life, right? And like for most people, like you don't need to do that, and unless you want to, right?
And that's the thing. Like, if you are talking about general population who have a life, like they're not obsessed with fitness, don't want to be, and it's fine if your life literally revolves around training and you just love, triathlons or ultramarathon and consistently doing them, and that's your life, and maybe you've made an Instagram account out of it, and you've made a living out of it. Like I'm not against any of that, but most of the general population aren't aiming for that, and so yeah, I've kind of made it a thing to get. I really enjoy showing people how to get more out of less. Like I love that for myself. Like I want to be as strong and as capable as possible, whilst also doing as little as possible. Hence the strong potato. Even with jiu-jitsu, like when I first started that, I knew I was pretty sure I was going to become obsessed with it. And when I say obsessed, I mean like
how many times a week do you go?
I go 3 a week. So I do 3 a week, and I lift 3 times a week, and that
how many how hard? Okay, how long? This is so jiu-jitsu. My experience is I really enjoy it. The gym. We have an academy close.
You do it as well?
I used to. And I've gotten like 1 or 2 stripes on my white belt. Right? But so I've been in like 3 or 4 different places, and the experience is very different between those 3 places. The last place I was super. I live in Iowa. I don't know if you know anything about Iowa. Iowa is like the wrestling like capital of the world. Like
cool.
Iowa, the University of Iowa is a super big wrestling school, a lot of national titles, like but this gym is one of the owners is like he was a big time wrestler. And like it's great, but it is heavily like you roll like the rolls for the last 20 to 30 minutes every session. Like and a lot of people are like going hard.
full ham, yeah.
And it's tricky because why I stopped is I tore my meniscus rolling against a guy who was just like way better than me. Like and I was like relatively athletic and strong, but like I didn't know what the hell I was doing a lot of times. And so I'd get going against these people and I'd just try to like outstrength them or out athletic, like just to stay in it, and then I just like popped my knee and I was like, all right. So it is something, but that is my experience. And again, I know there's a variety of experiences. It's super fun though. Like honestly, it's super fun, and how you feel after it, like there's something about like human contact in that way, and like bear hugging, rolling around on the ground, and like doing all that, like that's why people get addicted to it, because we don't have that type of stimulus in life, right?
Yeah, for me it was so because I have ADHD, had it since I was a kid. Yeah. It was always very prominent and obvious that I had ADHD as a kid. Like I just had to be doing literally everything all the time, and it was actually really interesting when I stopped gymnastics and I didn't do anything. Bear in mind I'd been active since I was 6, and this was like maybe like 18, 19. Had to stop because I had a job, and I was very like heavily depressed. So I went from being this really like happy-go-lucky kid, always just happy, to crying, sitting in dark rooms. You know, like it was really, back then we didn't talk about that either. So I did not know what was happening, and they wanted to put me on depression tablets, but I was just like, no, I'll. For some reason, I knew to just go back to gymnastics, so I just changed my job and just went back to it and just carried on. So I kind of saved myself, but long story short, I was essentially self-medicating ADHD through sports and activity, and you know, it's one of the reasons I train.
I've never been diagnosed, but I can resonate with that story.
Yeah, okay.
I probably should go get a diagnosis, but anyway.
Yeah. So the reason I bring that up is because I think one of the reasons why I would always want to, outside of just strength training, would always want to try and train for something outside of lifting, whether it was high rocks or a marathon, a 10K. You know, I've literally like gone through so many of these things. But I after a while, I've done all of those things. Like, I don't really have a desire to do much else. I don't want to do an Ironman because, as you said, like the journey to get to an Ironman is just, it's the training, the time it takes, and fair play to people who do that. But yeah, I was like, I feel like I need something that's like long term, something that can never really be completed. And something like jiu-jitsu, martial art, is that. Like, you will never stop learning. And so I knew, like, before I even like went to my trial class, I was like, I'm going to be hooked on this from day one. Going back to your experience, what's quite funny is, like, I see this with guys a lot, and a couple of things. I saw a really good post, and it sounds exactly like you, but also a bit of me. I saw a really good post ages ago. Can't remember who it was, but it was basically adults who are like middle-aged adults who used to be athletic, or maybe they still are, or their own worst nightmare. Yeah, you're in, when it comes to martial arts, you're your own worst nightmare because you are capable. And I was the same when I first started. I was probably doing things that I wasn't necessarily ready for, like, because I just was enjoying it. And I did start to get like a bad knee, which I'd never had an issue with before. I ruptured my thumb, like, because I was just like getting involved when I probably shouldn't have. You know, I was probably just doing too much. And again, I didn't have the technique. So stuff was happening. I was like, right, I need to, if I'm going to be in this long term, I need to learn how to be in this sustainably. Like, even the fact that I would say yes to everyone, regardless of their weight, or, all the guys I train with, a lot of guys, but they're all great. Like, they do their best to manage their weight on me and all this stuff. But I had really bad ribs, and it just was not going away. And I remember I actually posted on Threads. I was like, hey, can anyone just help me with this rib situation? And I got some really good advice. It was just you got to start saying, choosing your partners a bit more wisely. Don't say yes to everyone. And I just started making those changes. I started there were certain things with my knees, for example, knowing when you're in a bad situation and not just like you said, if you're strong and mobile, you can just kind of get out of it. Doesn't mean you should though. But for guys in particular, just last thing on that, I see it all the time. I think in a way I'm kind of lucky because I'm a female and I roll with guys, they typically don't go full ham. Whereas I joke about it. I'm like, the guys are just, even drilling, they're just absolutely going at it. And I'm like, guys, you can't keep this shit up. And you wonder why you're all broken.
It's there, it's very analogous to the gym.
Yeah, very similar.
You can, there was a guy, there's a really cool guy. I mean, he was probably in his 40s, and he was me and him, he would roll with me, and he would he was athletic and he was strong, but he was also just he had a good mindset about what we were trying to do, right? And he was actively teaching me stuff, and then he would go hard on me, but it was always tricky because it's the environment. Okay, when it comes to pretty much everything, the environment we create dictates what's gonna happen, right? Mm-hmm. So in your house, in your kitchen, if you have food there that you don't want to eat, but it's always available, always there, you're just way more likely to eat it. Yes, you can use willpower and you can resist it, XYZ, right? If your mindset in the gym and the environment you're in is people going really, really hard who shouldn't be, or you got bros telling you to add more weight when it's you're not feeling good, or your technique's deviating, XYZ. But it's the same thing. If you thinking you're gonna go to jujitsu 4 times a week, 5 times a week, I think this is the overarching thing that I try to see. It's we're trying to help people, or a lot of PT physio has become hey, let's just overlook the fact that humans need rest and humans need boredom and space, and let's just try to help them maximize everything, right? Mm-hmm. But that's just such a giant trap, and it leads to stuff not going well. And there's people who are the exception, but also there's people who how people get so they're where they are doing it and they're a black belt is often they usually either they just did it pretty slow, or they could fully commit their life to it, or they had a giant setback somewhere inside of there that you don't know about. And you probably, maybe you don't.
All of those things.
Right? Or all three, right? So
yeah.
And that's the same thing happens with training and in the gym, right? Go ahead.
Well, finally on that, the fun thing that I'm seeing in jiu-jitsu is very similar to strength training in that women, because we can't out-strength stuff, we actually get better because we can't rely on that. We have to get good at technique. And I'm really lucky. We have a really diverse team of coaches, and one of our coaches, who is also my friend, he'll get a shout out, Seymour. He is our coach, a black belt. He's a black belt for 20 years, but he's also smaller than me. He's he's a small guy who is an absolute weapon, and so I get to learn from someone who is essentially playing, and he won't mind me saying this, but almost like a female's game, the smaller person's game. And because of that, anything he can do, it's if he can do it, then I can do it against the 80 kilo Rob who I roll with from time to time. So that I think is the difference, and why and also like women's jiu-jitsu is incredible for that reason as well. Like so crazy technical, and some of the shit they do is so cool to watch. So I see it a lot, but I can also see how guys would have to have like, and I say this to some of the guys at the club, like just have a conversation like before you start and just be like, look, should we just not try and fuck each other up and try and
you feel like a pussy, Sam. You feel like,
I know, but like you gotta get over that.
I know but it's like that was what it was. It's like, all right, we're going, and like
no,
that guy's
I've seen it. I get it.
I wrestled a guy who was he was a dick. Like, I will say that. I mean, I didn't wrestle him.
There are lots of them in there.
What did we do? What's it called? Rolling. You know, we sprawled. We rolled. But we rolled, and but he was a former good collegiate wrestler, and like, but he was like 5 years out of that, and he just beat the shit out of me. And like for like whatever period of time, and he kept kind of getting me into he got me into an ankle lock like 4 times. And I'm like, dude, I clearly don't know how to stop you from doing that. And you've cranked on my ankle like 3 times now. And I did say that. I was like, can you not do that anymore, please? And he's like, oh yeah. And I'm like, yeah, like. So, but it is, you're right. If I, maybe if I had a conversation with him, and like, I just can't care about his judgment of me as a human being, because I'm like, I'm here to learn and to do this for a long time, right?
Yeah, and it does. But the gym, like you said, the environment, some gyms are like that. Some spaces are like that. We're very lucky. We have a really good community and whatever. And there's a guy he's like a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. He's a black belt in judo. He's like 6 foot something, big guy. He's strong as well. I can roll with him and have a good time because he's not a fucking psychopath. And he can do that with a white belt guy as well. He's I think people who have done martial arts for that long typically have like really good mindsets.
The brown and the black belts were never the problems. It's
no,
like blue and the blue and so.
So anyway.
But what are the what's the lasting message you want, like when people like look at your content? When women look at, we haven't really gotten to this because we were chatting about it beforehand, and then Sam's internet connection, she figured it out, but she was giving me the beans for it.
It's my fault.
But like, okay, there's arisen like women are not small men, right? Which women are different, but also like the principles of strength and conditioning, like. They're pretty good. Like when you really know the principles, and like, I will have clients on my roster struggle with certain things and think then we start to, and this is kind of the tricky part, is they go looking for a solution that somebody has put out there that's almost kind of predatorial. Like it's because of this, it's because you can't do cardio because you're a woman, or because you should be lifting in a different way. But like, tell me what your thoughts are on those topics.
Yeah, I mean, it just comes down to the individual, doesn't it? Like, it's that simple. It's like you could try and blame it on potentially being perimenopausal or postmenopausal because you've had a baby, or there's and like you said, the industry is horrible to women. Like it is. We'd like to think that it gets better, but we're just in the right circles. It's not gotten better. And I mean, I just coach on the individual basis, and I try not to just, whether it's for injuries or training or whatever's like happening, maybe they're feeling certain things. I just don't like labels. I just feel like, well, whatever is going on, let's just work with it. If you're feeling exhausted all the time, then we need to address like the basic principles of like how much you're training, how intense your training is. Are you eating enough? Are you getting enough sleep? And that's the approach I would take regardless of the issue. So that's what I try and preach. I try not to even talk about those things much with my content in particular. I'm also not there are so many incredible women like Sheridan and I actually don't know. Is it Dr. Elisa? I follow her, but I don't know how to say her full name. Yeah, there's people like that who are putting amazing information out. I am not those people. I don't have that knowledge, but I definitely have the mindset of like women do not need to be spoken down to. They're not stupid. They're not. We definitely have. Don't get me wrong. We definitely have a lot of shit to deal with. Like periods, especially as we get older, can really suck. They can really play with how we're feeling. But even on a like training approach, it's like we adapt our training based on how we're feeling, regardless of the root cause. Like if you had a shit day at work, you adapt your training. If you are stressed, you adapt your training. If you're on your period and you feel like a bag of shit, you adapt your training. It really doesn't matter what the thing is, you know.
Well, and so, like, yeah, I think the point of resistance that like, and what's tough. Okay, I'm a man, and I'm not gonna understand being a woman, right? Like, and that's okay. But like, there, I had a conversation. I have a physician that I see who's locally. It's him and his wife, and it's almost like, okay, information is really powerful, right? Sometimes the worst people are I mean, I'm a physical therapist. I've done things clinically, like I'm pretty good at my job, right? Medical people are hard. He's a psychiatrist. He's smart, but he's had back issues for a while, right? And he's like, and I'm like, all right, so like, what's your worst case scenario? What do you think is going on? And he's like, I think I have a nerve root impingement or like some form of radiculopathy that is like, been pretty bad, and it has gotten better. He also sleeps like 6 hours a night. His job is really stressful. He has all these other factors, right? And his back pain is improving, so like we're on a good trajectory. It's just, and some of it is he's not the best mover. So it's like there's a lot of things we can work on. But people get almost bogged down in like this one thing that they saw or that they think is the problem. And I get it. That's literally how our brain works. Like the reason that people like root cause stuff is because like there is no root cause, but like if we find that one needle in a haystack that fixes everything, it's like the golden goose, right?
Yeah.
But like this is the same thing, when I have another set of clients who's like, it's a husband and a wife. The husband can literally do whatever the hell he wants, and like he gets stronger and he feels pretty good. She has more stressors, like, and it's trickier, and she also like it's just harder, like it for her, and like that. Honestly, I just kind of joke like your husband just is kind of dumb when it like comes to like this stuff, and that's a huge benefit because he's not constantly overanalyzing, thinking about stuff. And so it just gets tricky. But all we can do is go back to the individual stuff. What gets hard is when people will be like, this says that I shouldn't be doing this thing that's in our program. It's like, well, is it really bad? And it's like, then you have to have a conversation and you have to like try to tease out like what they know and what maybe you can bring up their knowledge gap on and ultimately debunk that thing. Have you ever heard of Brandolini's principle?
No.
Brandolini's principle is that it takes 10 times the amount of energy to refute a bullshit claim than it does to create that claim. So somebody's saying, hey, cardio is bad for women. Like, even just saying that, it takes 10 times as much energy to start to try to explain to somebody, actually, no, cardio is not bad for women. And what type of cardio are we talking about? XYZ. Are you fueling before your cardio or not? That type of stuff. It takes so much more energy to do that. And that's the tricky part, right?
Yeah, it is. I guess I'm quite lucky that I don't have that too often because the women I train are already, they're ignoring that stuff. Like they're already. So I'm pretty lucky that I don't have to have these conversations too often. But it's more like sad when I see certain posts and then you start to see like comments within it, and people like believing this stuff. So like, when you see all this shite about, oh, you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that, and then the people in the comments who, you know, don't know any better, that they'll be saying, oh, but I've been doing this and I actually felt all right. So, you know, so it's stuff like that I don't like to see. And yeah, I'm lucky that I don't deal with that. I think I would find that hard as a coach to have to try and... I mean, there's a reason why I don't coach or enjoy coaching body composition goals for women, because it's a minefield because of, you know, all the information that they've been fed, how that's affected their relationship with nutrition, their body, the training. You know, I definitely deal with that. It's very rare that a female comes to me who doesn't have that, you know, history. But that isn't what I want to coach. I want to just be a person for women in the space who do just want to focus on training and do just want to be, you know, as strong and as capable as possible, without, you know, I just want to be that person that makes it a bit more realistic and be the coach who, I say normal women, like I hate using that term, but like the women I coach are not normal. Like, they're normal women doing normal things, but holy, I have so much respect for the fact that they have like jobs. Some of them have kids, some don't, but like they have a life, like a busy life, and they're also lifting weights consistently. They're also doing some kind of sport, active hobby, whatever it is. I'm a PT. I don't really coach in person. I do some, but it's not a lot. I have a very flexible timetable, let's say, and I still find it hard to train 6 times a week, eat enough, get enough sleep, recover. So the fact that they're doing that, I'm just, women are awesome.
It is like, well, you've kind of mentioned that you worked for a marketing firm before, you know, and like the general, like, when it comes to like marketing yourself, it's just like, don't prostitute yourself to like the whims of the trends. I think, like, just figure out what you want to be about and like be about it, like, you know, as best you can, right? Because you will get more of the people who are actually in alignment with what you believe in good ways is going to be productive for people, right?
Yeah.
And like transformations, there's a reason that people pursue those things, right? And it's fine. But like being really oriented about that also makes it like that becomes the thing. Whereas like when people have like more of a performance oriented approach to this, goal orientation, that's just doing it, and just like I'm very fortunate. Like a lot of the people I work with, like they would train without me as their coach. They just appreciate the like the thinking behind what I'm doing, the management, the like honestly the communication and the asking them good questions. When it comes to rehab, I mean, like, a lot of that is like people try to rehab stuff without good plans, or they go and they do it like inside of a tradition, like you know, you have the NHS, we have an insurance-based system here. Like a lot of times stuff just gets lost, and also people just don't get good advice and they get stuck, right? And it's the same thing with fitness. It's like you do something for a while and it works, and then you almost, you know, whether you keep doing that or I had this idea and I'm gonna write it down, because it's like, if you're somebody that likes to, you like it boring, like you like to do the same thing over and over again, at some point you probably need to accept that you have to switch things up, right? If you're somebody that switches it up all the time, at some point you probably need to accept that you need to allow for training to be a little bit more boring and monotonous for periods of time, right? It's like you kind of need what you aren't, right? Like I did CrossFit. That was my first intro to training, and I loved it. But at a certain point, it's like, if you want to get stronger, like doing random wads is no longer the thing for you here, and you have to stick to somewhat of a conducive plan for 4 to 8 to 12 weeks type of thing, right? So, but I guess that's kind of a good segue into like the last piece here, like marketing yourself and like growing a business that you enjoy, like what's that look like for you?
Probably the hardest thing, isn't it?
Brutal. It's brutal. I think like people don't understand how hard
Oh,
it can be.
it's really hard. And look, like I said, I've come from a marketing social media background, but doing it for yourself is something else. It's like we were saying earlier, like you can be objective. Like if someone asked me for help with social media or marketing, I would know all the answers. But when it comes to doing it for myself, it's really hard. And it's also real. I find the hardest part is because I have literally done like Instagram since before it was cool. So like if you actually look at how many times I've posted, it's something like 6,000.
It's a lot of posts.
It's a lot.
I commend you. Like a lot of
yeah,
people would
like,
go and like they trim that down because it's not cool to have like a lot of
it's too much to trim down. Like
exactly.
that's
like
too big of a job. Also, I don't want to because for me, like I used to post before I got into training. I just posted stuff like I wrote blogs. I just liked sharing things. So like it was never something I did because other people were doing it. But what I find difficult these days is that the way I used to post, that was just like what I'm up to. Like I'm literally just, this is what I'm thinking or feeling, or and this is what I did today. Like you can't really be that authentic anymore because it's now a business. Like if you didn't care, like it's not your business, it's just your personal account, then of course you can just be yourself and whatever. There's no rules, but now there are a lot of rules, and I feel in a pretty good place with it at the minute. I had quite a nice shift lately that was, I think I was falling into a trap of just trying to create content that like did well. So like like the engagement was good, the views were good, but that wasn't necessarily leading to people reaching out to me for help, which at the end of the day, that's the only thing I care about. Like I want, from a business point of view, but also because I just enjoy helping, coaching women. And so I was starting to notice that like something needs to change. And I've just started to make a shift lately where actually the posts that I do don't necessarily perform well, but since I've made that shift, I've had more people reaching out to me about coaching. And that is the goal. Like I want inquiries. I want clients to want to work with me, and I want to be seen as someone that people do want to work with. Like I'm not an influencer. Like I'm a coach.
Like, it was funny because this is God, I had like a hair on my sorry everybody. I have a hair on my, you know when you get a hair on your tongue, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, you get it out.
Thank you. But like, I mean, I went to your profile, and I think this is the power of like, if you are a coach, if you're somebody who wants to be a trainer, like first of all, I've had 10 to 15 years of experience before I said I'm gonna be like a hybrid. Like I see people I have a small clinic where I live. Like I have experience. Like. Mm-hmm. And having experience in our realm, I think, is really important. I think a lot of people are like, oh, being an online coach is easy. Like, it's not easy. It's a different set of challenges.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's better in terms of, like, helping people. Like, doing a session with somebody, I can help people make changes that are advantageous. But then it's like, but I can do a lot of that with video feedback. I can also do that with exercise selection and just trying to gain their understanding of what the thing is. It's just different, right?
Yeah.
But like going back to like I saw your profile, and it's like you know, your top 5 or 6 posts were like, damn, these are good topics. These are things that people think about. They're not just, and don't get me wrong, it is like, I'm going to make a post today about just using like auto-regulated progressive exercise or progressive resistance. Like, have you ever seen APRE? APRE? It's just a way to like actually help people understand, like, you should use your 10 when you're like injured, use your 10 rep max as opposed to your 1 rep max to like rehab yourself.
Makes sense.
So like posting some stuff like that where it's like just super boring information, but then also posting like the emotional or the intellectual concerns that people have is huge. but just and also not doing it in like almost like the manipulative like social media way where you're just saying fix your lumbar, fix your lordosis or whatever, right? Like, cause like that
Yeah.
drives me crazy, and I don't
Well, it's also a
necessarily.
bit boring, You do have
Yeah,
to play to. You got to think like if someone just came. Most people are on Instagram doom scrolling, right? I do it. I
yeah,
don't
they're
like that
there
I do
to
it, but I do.
laugh and be entertained, hopefully, or to.
Yeah. So if you're just like, this is what RPE is and why it's important. It's like that. It's just they're gonna brush right past it. So there's an art form for sure of being an authority, trying to show that you can help someone, but also talking in a way that they would want to be spoken to. Like a friend of mine had a really good point. It's like we are trying to sell at the end of the day. Like that is what we're doing, but we're selling through service and we're selling through. You want to sell in a way that you would want to be sold to. Like I always, if I'm ever looking for inspiration, I'm not necessarily looking for people whose content performs well. I'm looking at it to see if I would be tempted to buy. Like everything I've bought, like I follow like Alec Blennis's program. Like I don't write my own programs. I don't enjoy writing my own programs. So I follow his programming. And the reason I followed his programming was because I saw the way he trained. I liked what that consisted of, and that was it. Like I just signed up to it. And so like that's kind of the approach I try and take. It's like I'm trying to talk about the things that I know the type of people that I coach think and feel and experience, and I just try and explain almost like it's kind of like they're experiencing it but they don't actually know what that is or what's happening. Like for example, training quite a lot, being tired all the time, or even pointing out things that they just don't realize is happening, like the whole like just training under fatigue. It's like you kind of feel like you're doing a lot of stuff and you're training hard, but you're not actually training as hard as you need to be to get better. You're just fucking tired.
Yeah,
Like
you're
you're not fatigued because you've trained hard. You're fatigued because you're fucked. Like
yeah. It's like I
uh
think you have another great post on it's like going through a workout that has 12 exercises will make you
mm,
tired, but doing a workout with three, like a lot, like I've literally sent people, some people like here's two things, like some like plyos and like some warm up, 5 to 10 minutes, 2 to 3 bigger exercises, and then like one trunk thing, and they're like, this is like not enough exercises. Like, again, this doesn't happen that much. People usually know what we're getting, and we're like on the same page about it. But like,
sure.
but people will look at that and be like, well, how am I gonna like? Because you're gonna try really hard on those like
Yeah.
two exercises in the middle, right? And you're actually
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
load them heavy enough, right?
Yeah, and
Uh,
yeah, and that's a skill, that is something that doesn't just happen overnight. So there's definitely a grey area of like when you're programming, it's like I love just doing 2 hard sets, but not everyone has the capability to train hard enough yet. Like they don't understand what training hard enough looks like, and so yeah, they probably do need like an extra set to really, get the most out of it. But then you're also actually educating them on, well, this is what the goal is though. Like the goal is actually to get to a place where you know what failure looks and feels like, you feel confident enough to push that far. So yeah, I think it's raining. Sorry, this is a big deal in the UK because it's been hot.
dry, yeah, hot and dry, yeah,
It's raining. We
yeah.
have rain.
Hopefully it
Sorry.
cools down.
Anyway, getting distracted there. But yeah, anyway, I feel like I've said plenty. So
Yeah,
yeah, good chats.
Darcy, where do people find you?
Sam.
Oh shit.
It's fine.
I
She's
can't
very
believe
cool.
I
I
said that.
follow her. She's
Uh,
really good at content. By
you
the way,
both, I just was like in a trance there of
it's all right. It's
British
fine.
women.
We're
Sam,
women. We look the same.
I'm not gonna edit that out because I think that is like a legitimate. God, such a like. Again, I probably should go get checked out for ADHD. Well, because what I've been doing is I've been like looking at your Instagram because it just helps me keep up on stuff to talk about and talk
Hmm.
about. But I think I then clicked and I'm on Sam. Or on, now I was on Darcy's because I had your two both like pulled up. So anyway, I'm an idiot.
You're
That was
good.
okay though. Sam, where do people find you?
On Instagram, honestly, Sam says _PT, so like Simon Says, but with Sam. Yeah, I have a little podcast, but everything's on there. Like, feel free to explore.
You do a podcast?
I do a little one. So I've done versions of podcasts over the years. Like I've gone in and out, but this time I just wanted it to be more like voice notes. So like I keep them really short.
Yeah.
I kind of just wanted to say things that I would say to a client, and that's where I'm at right now. There's only a few on there, but yeah, feel free to have a listen.
Beautiful cover art. Why So Heavy with the
It's a good name, right? I'm really proud of that, actually.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Aesthetically pleasing. You do a good job of making stuff aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, it depends what mood I'm in. I'm in the mood of like trying to just be a bit more intentional with what I post. So right now it looks good, but I like being messy as well. This comes from like shiny things. It's like I'll have a phase where like I'm making things look a bit better, and then I'll just be like, oh, whatever. I like it more authentic.
Sometimes it's just like point and play. It's hard to keep up with posting on Instagram. Like it is like I was talking to my wife last night. It's like because I got into a phase. I think part of my my inner angst was like I gotta make it like XYZ, and my wife's like, well, like you typically have the most fun with it when you're just like being creative and just kind of posting top of mind stuff and XYZ. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I need to get back to that, but it is tricky, and I also don't want to like systematize it like where it's like I'm posting 60. I got 60 days lined up. Like I don't really love that either. It's nice to have stuff on deck, but yeah, I'm with you. It's all a game, right? So, all right, Sam. You can find her at samsays_pt on Instagram. I will link that in the show notes. Sam, sorry I called you Darcy 2 minutes ago.
It's so fine.
But thanks so much for coming on. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Peace, everybody.
Bye.